Have you ever yelled at your children and you see their faces fall and their anger rise? And you are left thinking, what did I do? Why did I do this? How did I get here? You are not alone. The good news, yes, I have the good news. Yelling is not the only option and it is not the best one. So in this video, I'm going to uncover 5 practical skills that you need to stop yelling at your children. My name is Ayoluwa Adedeji. I am the founder and the lead consultant at the Model Family Focus. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I empower parents to raise skilled, confident, and compassionate children. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so now. And after watching this video, please don't forget to give me a thumb up, share, like, and comment. As parents, yelling sometimes looks like the easiest way to get points across, especially when we are overwhelmed. But deep down, you and I know that yelling doesn't really work. Yes, it doesn't work. And oftentimes, it gets things worse. So today, in this video, I'm going to show you how to replace yelling with working strategies, proven strategies that work for both you and your children. These skills will equip you to discipline effectively, stay calm, and build strong connection with your children. But before then, let's look at the impact of yelling on you and your children. Here is the thing about yelling. Yelling has impacts on both the yeller and the yelled at, and the impacts are usually negative. Yelling may teach children to comply temporarily, but it doesn't teach them to understand why their behaviors are wrong. Yelling, if continuous and excessive, may lower a child's self-esteem and self-confidence. It can make a child to be anxious, and it can also lead to rebellious behavior. Again, here is something to remember. When a child fears your voice, the child stops trusting your heart. When a child fears your voice, the child stops trusting your heart. And for the parents, yelling may feel like it gives immediate control, but it leaves some of us guilty. It drains energy. It erodes confidence, and it creates, disconnect in our relationship with our children. No one taught me this. No one told me this. I discovered this myself long ago before I began my intentional parenting journey. After shouting, after yelling, I begin to pant. Any circumstance that warrants you panting doesn't worth it. Take it or you leave it. Yelling is dangerous to your health. Yelling is not helpful. Yelling is not helping you in any way. Let's move on. The question now is, how do we raise our children? How do we discipline our children without raising our voices? The answer lies in learning the right skills. 5 practical skills to stop yelling at your children. 5 necessary skills that you need to stop yelling at your children. The first skill I like to talk about is emotional regulation skills. Emotional regulation skills. Let's be honest, sincerely, parenting can trigger us. We can be pushed. Parenting, can push our button. There's no doubt about that. I agree with you. But if you want to stop yelling at your children, the first thing you need to work on is your emotional intelligence, emotional regulation skills. Emotional regulation skills equip us to understand and recognize our feelings before they overwhelm us. Emotional regulation skills equip us with coping skills such as deep breathing, counting slowly, or walking away from the scene. If you need to take a course, you might need to do that. I did that when I began my intentional parenting journey. I've said it in many of my videos. I had to take an emotional intelligence course. And good enough, we have emotional intelligence course at the Model Family Focus that you can register for. If you are not emotionally intelligent, no matter how you try, you cannot stop yelling. Yes, you cannot stop. And here is the thing. A calm parent teaches better, teaches effectively than a loud one. When you are yelling, when you are shouting, the truth is that your children don't understand you. They hear you, but they don't understand what you are saying, meaning that you are not passing your information across effectively. Emotional intelligence is an important skill for you to stop yelling at your children. By mastering your emotions, by understanding your feelings, you also teach your children how to manage theirs effectively. Active listening. The second skill you need to stop yelling at your children is active listening. Children often act out because they feel unheard. And the truth is that most of us parents, we don't know how to listen to our children actively. We don't understand how to listen to their verbal cues and non-verbal cues. Active listening diffuses tension and it opens up children for guidance. Active listening skill requires you to pay attention to your child's emotion, to what your child is saying, to your child's body language. For instance, if your child is angry because he or she wants more screen time, instead of saying, "Why are you crying? I have said there's no screen time," and that's the final. Instead of saying that, you can say, "I see that you're upset because you want to have more screen time." Validating your children's emotion doesn't mean you agree, but it shows empathy. When you truly listen to your children without interrupting, without jumping into conclusion, without judging, your children will feel heard, seen, and valued, and your children will not act out. If you don't practice active listening, your children will continually act out and you will continually yell. Communication skills. That's the third skill you need to stop yelling at your children. Clarity in communications prevents chaos in behaviors. Parents often yell because they feel their expectations are not met. But the question we fail to ask ourselves is, did I clearly communicate my expectations? Did I make my intention known to the children? For instance, if your children's rooms are messy, instead of yelling and shouting, "Why is your room still messy?" you could try, "I expect you to tidy up your room by now." That statement is firm but respectful. Effectively communicating to your children will empower your children to understand what is expected of them. And when they understand what you mean, they are likely not to act out and you are likely not to yell. Please note that communication is different from talking. A lot of time we talk, we don't communicate. Communicating means passing information across in a manner that the recipients understand what the speaker is saying. If you are talking and you are not communicating, your child will hear you talk but will not understand what you mean. And when that happens, what it means is that your expectation will not be met. You are likely to be frustrated and you will yell. Remember again that clarity in communication prevents chaos in behavior. Empathy. Empathy is the cornerstone of calm parenting. When your child misbehaves or acts out, take your time, think, and ask yourself, what is driving this behavior? Could it be that my child is tired, hungry, or feeling overlooked? Most parents don't believe that children have their own struggles. Yes, they do. They have their struggle. What is their struggle may seem immaterial or nothing to us because we have passed through that stage. For instance, when your child is not willing to do the homework, instead of shouting, yelling, and being hungry, you can look back and think, is this child stressed? Does this child need to rest? Instead of yelling at a child who is unwilling to write the home phone, you can say, "I can see that you're not feeling like doing your home phone now. It can be hard after a long day." By validating your child's emotions, you will diffuse the tension and the child will be open up for cooperation. Collaborative problem solving skills. Instead of issuing commands, collaborate, work with your children to solve problems together. This will empower them and keep them away from resistance. This empowers them and reduces resistance. For instance, if your child keep littering the floor with the toys after playing with them, instead of yelling, you can ask your child, "We need to find a solution to this toy littering on the floor. What do you think can work?" Your child may come up with suggestions, and trust me, if the suggestion comes from the child, they will follow it. They will live by it. When children feel involved, they are likely to follow through. And that was how I taught my children how to pack their toys after playing with them. You are the parent, yes. You are the leader, I agree. But don't always issue commands. Involve your children in activities, in decision making. Collaborate. This will help them to behave well and it will reduce yelling. Parenting without yelling is possible. It's about shifting from reactions to response. Here is a quote I live by every day. Parenting is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every moment of calmness is a victory. This week, try any of this skill and you'll be amazed at the results you are going to record. Remember that small change can make a big difference. Remember that it took time for you to get to your current position. So it will also take time before you can stop yelling. Just make sure that you are continuously working, you are progressively working on how to stop yelling. If you consistently apply the skills, long